All right, let's get to the Patriots and the Chiefs. Patriots win 37-31. The underdog story of the New England Patriots continues.
Stop it. No.
What?
Can't. No, they're not an underdog story.
They were the underdogs.
They are not
against
an
the
underdog
Chiefs.
story. They were the underdogs yesterday for the first time in how many years?
69 games.
Right.
With Brady at quarterback.
Okay. So you can't call them an underdog story.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have been the underdog.
Maybe
they should have been favorites on the road.
Maybe
They won by 6.
If you're underdog for one time in 69 straight games, you're not an underdog story.
All right. Anyway, another game with a ton of drama. Another game where the Patriots, one team, controlled the action early on. The Patriots controlling the action, grinding out the run game, keeping Mahomes off the field. It had to be frustrating if you're the Chiefs or a Chiefs fan, just sitting there watching third down conversion after conversion on the run and on the ground and through the air. And the Patriots could have been up a lot more, but Brady makes a disastrous red zone decision. They're up 7-0. He throws the end zone interception. It should have been at least 10-0 at that point, and then it was 14-0 at the half. The Patriots are in full control of the game, but of course the Chiefs are literally just one play away from scoring, and you saw how quickly they could light up the scoreboard. But, when Patrick Mahomes only gets, 26 pass attempts in the game? I mean, that's tough. It's tough to do anything. 31 pass attempts, sorry, because, they had a bunch down the stretch. But it just felt, if you're a Chiefs fan and you're watching this, it just feels like, man, the offense is great, but there's just so much pressure on the offense to make sure that that you can't have a 3-and-out. You have to keep converting. You have to keep moving the chains. And early on, the Patriots defense did a fantastic job of corralling that offense, plus Mahomes missed a few throws in the first.
Yeah, I mean, there's two parts there. One, that this is the way to stop these high-octane passing offenses that are otherwise unstoppable, right? Is one, you've got to be good on offense yourself, but two, being able to take time off the clock is a huge part of slowing these teams down. Because obviously it reduces the amount of time they actually have to do their damage, but two, because you just shorten the game and shorten the number of possessions that everybody has, and it frustrates those teams being on the sideline. It shouldn't, but there's something about those teams having to sit there and watch an offense for like 10 minutes before they get a chance to go out there and strike back that just screws them up.
Well, yeah, it's the fact that you have to be perfect. It's normal human nature, I think, because the pressure's on you to say, look, they just had an 8 to 10 minute drive.
Right, but in theory,
if we go 3-and-out, they could hold the ball for another 5 minutes.
But in theory, there's no difference between that and a team that's really good on offense scoring as well. Either way, you need to score because otherwise the game's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
It's just that keeping you on the sideline and taking time off the clock just adds this layer of frustration to these teams that seems to really get to them. So, one, I think that is the perfect way to slow down these teams. Why we talked about the Ravens potentially being this nightmare matchup for any of these high-octane offenses, because that's the way they do it. They will keep you on the bench, and it'll frustrate the crap out of you, and you'll make mistakes because of that, and they can potentially win. The other thing we saw is that for as good as you can do that, this offense is too good. At some point, it's going to click and put up some points quickly, and you need to have done enough on the other side of the ball to withstand that comeback or that charge from them. So we saw sort of both sides of this. The Patriots did exactly the right thing. They executed extremely well. They put the Chiefs in a hole, and at some point, the Chiefs were going to come back because they're just too freaking strong on offense. And then it came down to the other side of the ball, which is what we said all year long. If this Chiefs defense can just get itself to hold on a drive, just one, it's all it probably needs because this offense is going to score. And ultimately, that's exactly what it came down to. They put it into overtime, and actually down the stretch as well, but they had two different drives.
Well, they blew the fourth quarter, however you want to say it. The Patriots won it or the Chiefs blew it, a fourth quarter comeback.
So this Chiefs defense had two separate drives where all it needed to do was to stop them once, and they couldn't do it. And on the overtime drive was particularly amazing because they put themselves in a position where they just needed one play 3 separate times.
3 third and longs.
And couldn't do it.
Brady's pass, the ball location on those 3 third down conversions is pretty spectacular. But there was also they screwed up a stack release. Edelman was wide open on one of them. Gronk conversion and Edelman over the middle another time. But Yeah, another exciting game, though, man. This was crazy back and forth the whole time. You're just like, all right, Brady's getting the ball. He's got too much time. Mahomes is getting the ball. He has too much time. I mean, I forget. There was, 5 lead changes in the fourth quarter? And we got high-pitched Romo. Romo was so excited.
My favorite stat of the first game, by the way, is that the Rams won the game without leading.
Oh, yeah, wow.
They didn't lead for a single second of that game and won. That's fun, right? Fun little nugget.
Not if you're a Saints fan.
Well, no, but, they had 09, so works its way out in the end.
Got them. They had 09.
Right. I mean, you've got your win.
You don't need
another one.
Back then. So you're like, whatever.
I'm just saying they had their fair share of things swinging in their favor for that year. So
interesting.
They can deal with the downslope this time.
The officiating in this game
terrible.
Also, some major issues. So I think you've got. So there was the play where Mahomes looked like he got roughed, and you watch the replay and you're like, that's a good call. Actually, Trey Flowers.
They were basically the same play. One happened
they were
to
pretty
either
much
side.
The same play.
At the very minimum, the officials have to determine to make that call the same way both. Whichever way you're going to do it, it has to be the same for both of those, and it wasn't.
Right. Brady was not interfered with on that one the same way Mahomes wasn't. And then on the other side, there was the pick play that set up the Chiefs' go-ahead touchdown was absurd. So the Patriots got called for offensive pass interference where Dorsett had a very clear – he wasn't running a route. He just blocked on a swing pass. The Chiefs one was just as blatant because you always get that. You get the short curl with like some sort of wheel or whatever behind it. The short curl, that guy the pick player just ran straight into the defender. Didn't even run a route. Usually you kind of run at him and you kind of turn around like you're running a route. This was just like straight pick. So that they missed that too. And then Dee Ford's offsides. That wasn't a misplay. That's just Dee Ford being an idiot.
Well, so here's the thing. One, that play decided the game. The Chiefs had this game won, and Dee Ford was lined up in the neutral zone, and suddenly you're in a hole again. That's the difference in this game. Now, I hate lined up in the neutral zone as a penalty. I think it might be the dumbest play in all of football because all you need to do is to look down the line and check. Every single play.
Did we -2 that? That should be a -7.
So this is to the point where I campaign for us to add a comment to the grading, the way we grade these things, to differentiate that from a guy who jumps offside. Because,
like just a neutral zone infraction?
Because you can get drawn into doing that by a hard count or whatever. It's still dumb, but it's a different level of stupid, right? Because at least something caused you to do that. Nothing caused you to line up in the neutral zone. It was just your own stupidity, except this play. Because on this play, if you look at where Trent Brown was lined up, he is 100% lined up in an illegal formation. Because there's a limit to how deep an offensive. So you see an offensive line, they're not all the same level, right? They're not 5 guys along the line. Typically, it sort of bows out to start a pocket. So the guards are a little bit back from the center and the tackles are a little bit back from the guards, and it forms this kind of broad semicircle, right? So, but there's a limit to how far back the tackles can go before they're considered off the line of scrimmage, and it screws everything up, right? And typically the rule is if your helmet as a tackle is level with the belt buckle of the center, you're okay. But if you're further back than that, if you're not level with his belt buckle, you're illegal. You're off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Trent Brown was 100% further back than level with the center's belt buckle. So he was illegal as well. Now, I'm not saying that would change everything because if you called both of them, it would be offsetting penalties and it would still negate the play. So it wouldn't have saved the Chiefs. But what I'm saying is that as an edge rusher, you're probably looking at where that tackle is and basically aligning yourself with him. If I'm
So it's Trent Brown's fault.
If I'm like a yard and a half like ahead of the tackle, I'm in the right spot. So Dee Ford lines up. He basically aligns himself with the tackle the way he's been doing all game. The tackle is further back now than he should be, which means Dee Ford is half a yard into the neutral zone. Now, it's still his fault because all it takes is to look down the line and you can change that.
Why do you hate the Patriots? This is what our viewers want to know.
I'm just saying that as dumb as that penalty was, because at any point Dee Ford could have looked down the line and gone, oh, hell, I'm in the neutral zone. I'm going to take a step back here. There was a reason he was in the neutral zone beyond his own stupidity.
I don't know.
And that was an uncalled flag on Trent Brown.
I don't buy it. Anyway, it's a bad penalty.
You don't buy it?
I don't buy that it's
What part don't you buy?
that it's because of the way Trent Brown lined up.
You're telling me if the guy that you've been lining up the same distance from every single snap in this game takes a step back,
Do you ever
you're
look
not
at the
gonna
football?
Huh? That's what I'm saying. It's still stupid, but you're lining yourself versus the tackle,
Yeah,
not
you look
versus
at the
the
football,
ball.
you look down the line. That's what you line up against.
But if
the
the
line
guy-
of scrimmage.
It's not, though, entirely.
Okay.
Same with receivers and defensive backs. You kind of line yourself according to where they are. And if they're in a
Interesting.
wrong spot,
So that was
they're going to be off.
That was a big call. I thought the two calls where the refs got it right were the two catches by New England. You had the Chris
The
Hogan
reviews?
one-handed catch, the review, where I thought his arm, the first one he made, the one-handed catch, his arm was under the ball. It kind of hit the ground. And it's like, okay, that was a catch. And then the second one, I thought the ball hit the ground. His arms weren't under the ball, and that was not a catch. And I thought they got both of those right.
Yeah.
And then the Edelman punt thing
If
was
anything-
so ridiculous.
Yes.
What's your problem with the? You're just anti everything.
I
So go
think-
ahead.
I think they might have got both of those wrong. I think the first one, the ball definitely is the reception is aided by the ground.
Oh, I don't think so.
Definitely.
He had his forearm
Right. And then
under
he
the
rolled
ball.
over it and the ball squeezed out and he
It
gets
touched
it
the
back
ground
to
a
the
little
ground.
bit. I thought that one was definitely.
I
the
think
catch.
the ground helped him get that catch. The second one I would need to see again, but I actually think
The second one, there was a point where the ball looked like it was laying on the turf with nothing, with no forearm under it. With no.
yeah.
And then
I'm
it
not as
just
confident
popped
with the
up.
second one because I only saw it live. I haven't gone looking for the replays again. But I think the second one looked to me like he actually somehow freakily. It was weird because the first one was actually an outstanding catch that just kind of came out at the end when you hit the ground and it kind of forces the ball out that way.
Yeah, he
The
had
second one,
control first.
Right. The second one he actually screwed up,
Right.
but looked like he might have somehow avoided it touching the ground before he got control of it
I
all.
don't think he did though.
So yeah, whatever. It's just interesting that they they both bounced New England's way, those reviews.
No, they didn't though.
They got,
One was called a catch. One was not called a catch.
but which one was not called a catch?
They got them right, is what I'm saying. The one-handed catch was a catch, and then the
say
Hogan
so.
drop was called a drop.
I think they screwed them both.
And
up.
that was another one where the Patriots almost screwed themselves because that would have been a first down conversion that put them in 3rd and 10 again, but they still ended up.
The Edelman muff thing was bizarre though.
That was Edelman just getting really, really lucky. But
Yes.
when I saw it,
Tremendously
he was
lucky.
so adamant that he didn't touch it. I believed him.
Right.
Because most guys, if it nicks you, you're just like you either run after it or you put your head down in
But
shame.
through sheer dumb luck, it didn't touch any
Oh,
part
it was
of it.
pure luck.
What's
It
interesting
was
is
stupid
that
for him to go try to field it.
that play showed the problem with just 100% reliance on replay. Because from either angle, it looked like it touched one thumb, right? But both angles absolved the other one. You know what I mean?
They did, right. So one looked like the thumb, and then you saw it missed it by like this
Right,
much.
but
on
that's
the
the
other
problem.
end.
So if you
How's
don't,
that the problem with replay? It's a good thing about replay.
because if you don't have the right angle, if you don't have the reverse angle, you get suckered into thinking that something is clear, incontrovertible visual evidence
Sure.
when it isn't.
Sure,
That's
but
the problem with replay.
you're the NFL, billion-dollar industry.
Right, but they're not going to.
Get the right angles. In this playoff game yesterday, they had the right angles.
Right, and
they've
will for
done a
the-
better job in recent years of like the number 6 CBS broadcast in like week 10 still has good angles. The
And
same that like Sunday Night Football
They
has.
will for the playoffs and for Sunday Night Football, etc. But they're not going to have it for every game. So you can't just say
Just make sure
you
you
have
do.
to have 100% reliance on replay because it's going to give you angles that make it look like things happened that didn't.
So, we blame the officials, but I'm giving them the 2 reviews I think they got right. The Edelman review I think they got right. So there was some good calls in there as well. Was there any other egregious calls that people were worried about? I thought the pass interference. I thought Gronk got absolutely mugged on one play that they didn't call. J.C. Jackson also kind of ticky-tacky down the field, positioning for. I thought it went both ways as far as the poor calls. It was just bad
game.
overall.
This was another game where I think they were really testing the officials' resolve to throw the flags in coverage.
No, I agree. So that was a big factor. We did. Let's see what the Patriots did against Mahomes. Making things difficult. They collapsed the pocket. They pressured him on half of his snaps. Mahomes, he always makes those spectacular plays, but in this one, he just missed way too many throws. We've talked about all year the thing most impressive about Mahomes is that he had the second lowest percentage of negatively graded plays in the NFL this year. He had, I don't know if this was his highest percentage of negatives, but I'm just looking through the play-by-play. It was high for only 31 dropbacks. So this was his worst game as far as missing plays. Plus, he took that sack where he spun backwards and took them out of field goal range. Those were some bad plays.
Right.
Andy threw one that could have been that game-ending interception that Jonathan Jones dropped. There were some bad plays in there by Mahomes.
So I was talking to Dr. Eric Eager about this earlier this morning, this idea that with 16 seconds left on the clock, that should be 2 shots to the end zone before you settle on the field goal.
Well, he threw one that should have been picked, so they got scared.
I don't know if it was they got scared or this idea that with a quarterback like Mahomes, it might not be. 16 seconds, he's the kind of guy that even if he doesn't take the sack, he's going to run around and chew up 10 seconds.
Right, I agree.
So I don't know. Like for every other quarterback in the NFL, 16 seconds should be 2 shots at the end zone. For Mahomes, it might not be because I don't know that you can trust him to get rid of the ball in 8 seconds every single play.
No, that's fair. Let me get my timeline right, because earlier he threw a dropped interception in the end zone. Then they got into better field goal range, and on first down they took 1 shot at the end zone, and he threw a nice safe miss out the end of it. That was good. That was a good job. There was probably room to do one more of those.
There should have been.
Right? And especially if you have Tyreek Hill, who can in any given time. By the way, he only had 1 catch for 42. I mean, if you told me coming in that Tyreek Hill's going to get targeted 3 times, 1 catch for 42 yards, Kelsey's going to get limited to what he was, would he have hardly anything? Real quick. What do we have? Kelsey had three catches for 23, including a touchdown and a drop. I mean, that's a good job on their 2 big playmakers. Anyway, they could have taken another shot at the end zone and say, look, you either have it or you throw it away, and then we're gonna kick the field goal. But there was just a lot of clock management stuff. There was just a lot going on there. But back and forth, both teams. And then Tom Brady's splits, he had about a 49 grade in the first quarter. That included that end zone interception. 90.1 grade in the fourth quarter. In overtime, he didn't have any negatively graded throws. That what should have been the game-ending interception was a drop by Gronk. That interception that he threw to Edelman was right on his hands. That was a positive grade. That should have converted the first down. That interception was not on Brady. So he was, again, exceptional in crunch time in the fourth quarter and led another epic comeback.
Yeah, but this is another example of this is what we talked about with Breeze and the manipulating the time he has to throw by screwing with receivers. This is the opposite of that. So for the past 2 weeks, Brady has gotten rid of the ball on average of 2.18 seconds.
What was he at yesterday? Do you have it split?
Yesterday was, I think, even faster
because
than that.
He was only pressured 6 out of 46 dropbacks.
Right. So yesterday was 2.23. So for the 2 weeks average, it's been 2.18, which is insane. That's faster than you're ever going to get over a season. It is too fast for a pass rush to get any kind of joy over the course of the game. So Dee Ford, who we've been talking about as really one of the players of the year, even aside from the dumb lined up offside penalty, he got 1 hurry in 38 pass rushes. So he's had pressure consistently every single game this season. In fact, I think that is the first game which he's only recorded a single hurry or fewer. Every single game this year he's recorded multiple pressures. He's been a real source of pass rush. He's made impact plays, but the ball was out in 2.2 seconds every single play yesterday. You're not going to get there. You don't have the speed. You can't get there in that kind of time. And that was it. The Chiefs defense, we said going into the game that at least they play the right kind of scheme. They play man coverage, which is what slows down those receivers and makes Brady hold the ball just a little bit longer to give those guys a time to work, and they didn't.
Right.
And that was the problem.
So I would say the time to throw thing certainly helped. I mean, that's Brady in the scheme helping to manipulate the rush, but also the offensive line on the plays where Brady did have to hold the ball a little bit longer and throw the ball down the field, for the most part, they held up. They did a really good job when they did have to pass protect for deeper drops. It was also, I mean, when you watch the Patriots offense with James Devlin out there, the fullback, and they were going straight like 5-step drop out of 2-back sets. As much as we talk about the NFL being innovative, and the Patriots have plenty of innovative plays, I just thought it was hilarious that they were running like throwback, 5-step drop, non-play action out of 2-back sets. They ran split backs one time, like, hey, Joe Montana, we're going under center split backs. The NFL's probably run that twice all year. Anybody in the NFL. It's just hilarious.
This is why they are so hard to beat in the playoffs because you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
So we've been talked before about how it's important to be able to adjust on the fly. More important than ever against the Patriots because you literally don't know what you're going to see until you hit the game. It's going to take you a few drives to figure out what they're doing, and then you need to basically craft your game plan on the fly to defeat that.
Right.
That's
what makes them so different. That's balance. Again, what we talked about. They went in, they said, we're going to pound the rock this week. We're going to run play action. But here's the other part, too. There were a bunch of plays where Kansas City did a really good job taking away the middle of the field. So the Patriots wanted to run. And when they run play action, they are attacking the middle of the field on play action. A couple of them were open, but there were other plays. There was 4 guys around Gronk, and they read it right. But then in crunch time, when they needed to get guys open in the middle of the field, the Patriots are able to scheme it up just enough to give Edelman a step a couple times, to get Gronk on a slant. So again, the cat and mouse game there, the Patriots end up winning, coming out on top.
There were only 19 fullbacks this season that played as many snaps, including the playoffs, as Devlin did yesterday.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's the kind of offensive game plan they ran. He had
41 snaps yesterday.
Right. He had more snaps yesterday than Green Bay fullbacks this season combined.
Yeah. It's just
almost
hilarious.
as many as Chicago fullbacks combined, and several other teams who didn't play their fullback as much as Devlin played yesterday. So they literally pulled out a game plan from like 2007 or earlier.
Oh, before that. Because in 2007, they were spreading the field.
Right.
But they're also doing this with, look, I think Brady deserves a ton of credit for all of this. His numbers were down a little bit this year. When the other, this is where he's finding those doubters, Sam.
No.
They're saying he's going to fall off a cliff and all that stuff.
The doubters
his numbers took a hit this year, in part because he lost Amendola. He's got a crippled Gronk out there. Yes, Josh Gordon played for a chunk of the season, but his outside receivers yesterday, they're running pass patterns to Cordero Patterson as an outside receiver in crunch time.
Yeah, that didn't go
Chris
well.
Hogan out there. Philip Dorsett, who made a really nice play on the touchdown. That was nice, but Dorsett's, he's okay.
By the way, one of those failed plays to Patterson was a bad Brady pass.
Oh, he left it behind a little bit,
Yeah.
but still should have been caught. The other one was a nice defensive play. But either way, I'm saying those outside receivers are not very good.
No.
You've got Gronk, who's still just he's a good NFL tight end. He's not great. He's not what he was, and Edelman's really good at what he does. But yeah, the pass location on those third down overtime passes and some of those key fourth down passes, just incredible. That's why he's the best, Sam.
Yeah, but the Chiefs'
Tom Brady.
defense basically didn't do what they needed to do all the way through this game, which is to get aggressive against the Patriots and at least slow them down.
They did. They were aggressive. They played man.
Not aggressive enough. You didn't.
What do you mean? They
if
just
you're
got
playing,
beat.
No, because
They're not that good. That's the problem. They're not that good. It's not that they didn't try.
They're not that bad either. That the ball comes out in 2.2 seconds every single play and there's an open guy. That's not trying hard enough. They're not bad enough that you should be getting beat off the line every single time by these receivers that aren't that good.
They weren't. There was a bunch of tight window throws in there as well. All those third downs.
You need to, particularly down the stretch, they were not in the least bit aggressive. They backed off and let the Patriots beat them.
And they tried to blitz a little bit, too. They did try to be aggressive there, and that didn't work very well at all. 8 of 12 for 111 for Brady.
Right.
On 12 blitzes.
Yeah.
So they tried to mix it up.
I'm just saying you need to be more aggressive with receivers.
From a Chiefs perspective, though, this was your biggest fear all season. You've got Mahomes, and here's the biggest compliment you can give Mahomes. On his worst games, they still score 30. On the times where teams figure out Mahomes and he misses throws and he takes bad sacks, they still find a way to score 30. Not all because of him, but because the offense is so good, but in large part because of him. And your biggest fear is that we're going to score 30 and we're going to give up 31, or we're going to give up, in this case, 37. That's the Chiefs' biggest fear, and that's what happened with this defense.
Can we talk about why overtime needs to change?